Hey CMA buddies, let's today start with objectives of strategic management. This is chapter number 8.3 in module 8. So what are the various objectives of strategic management? Strategic management is something which I've already discussed in the previous video. So if you have not had a look at it, please have a look at those videos. Okay, what are the objectives? First of all, it says identify opportunities. You should find the opportunities that are available in the market and to adapt resources. So whatever resources are there, you basically got to get acclimatized to it. As in, you need to make the best use of them for what? To exploiting the opportunities that are basically created. So the opportunities that is referred here needs to be exploited with the help of the resources. Fine, and you make the best of it. Then secondly, it says create opportunities by utilizing the resources to the fullest and as per the competencies of organization and capitalize on them. So first of all, you identify the opportunities. Secondly, what you do is you create those opportunities. How do you create these opportunities? You create these opportunities by utilizing the resources to the fullest, as in you make the optimum utilization of the resources and as per the competencies, that means your capabilities of the organization, and capitalize on them, and you basically try to encash on them and make the best use of them, right? Okay, then it says help an organization to experience a competitive advantage. So when you the basic objective of strategic management is what? To gain an upper hand in the competitive advantage, or rather to gain a competitive edge. That means whosoever are your competitors, you are able to do better in comparison to them. How? By the usage of strategic management. Then it says monitor and be responsive to the demands of key stakeholders. So you got to observe what all exactly are the needs of the stakeholders of the company. Who are the stakeholders? It can be your employees, it can be your shareholders, it can be your creditors, anyone with whom the business have the direct contact and they have the direct influence on the business. So you basically got to monitor what are their demands and be responsive to them. That means you got to adhere, or you need to take their needs into consideration and respond according to it. Fine. Then it says identify the critical success factors and meet the needs and wants of the customers. So you need to understand what are the critical success factors, what is the most important, or what are the most important things that a customer needs, and eventually you meet the needs and wants of them. Then develop a creative and innovative idea and to think strategically. That means you got to have an attitude wherein you can create new things, you got to innovate new things, and you need to think out of the box. That is, think strategically. So this is one more objective of strategic management. Then it helps organization to adapt to a dynamic business environment. That means ever changing business environment. So your organization should be capable of adapting to the new business environment. By how? By scanning external factors. So what are the external factors that are happening? Anticipating changes. That means you predict what changes are going to come to your way and formulate proactive strategies. Right? Now, for example, there is a lot of competition in the market, or say there is a change in the business environment due to say external factors like some political turmoil or say some inflation, right? So in that case, your business should be capable of adapting to such kind of changes, and you should anticipate what is coming your way and you formulate proactive strategies to counter them, right? Enables organization to stay agile. That means they should be flexible enough. If there is any change, you should be able to, or you should be ready to adapt to that change. Responsive to market shifts and emerging trends. So if there is any change in the market, or there is a change in the dynamics of the market, you should be able to ready to change to it. Now, for example, let's take a simple case of say watches. Fine. You are a big company who are producing an analog watch. Analog watch is what? Something which has a the needles wherein the old watches wherein we used to have a short needle and a long needle, and you used to compare the time looking at them, right? So this is how the analog watches used to be there. But now suddenly you realize everyone is using smart watches and it's completely digital. Fine. So you got to have an acumen to make sure that whatever changes are there in the business environment, you are dynamic to it. That means you are willing to change to this, and you are able to migrate from analog to digital, or for that matter you can have both, but you got to make sure that you adapt to it. Similarly, it's the case with something like Nokia and Samsung. Fine. See, you know that Nokia had a phone which was very at its very launch stage, people used to be very fond of it. But how did Nokia not grow is because of the fact that they didn't transform themselves into smartphone a smartphone so easily, or they were very reluctant, they were not very not very adaptive from changing from a primitive kind of phones to a smartphone. So that's what brought the downfall of Nokia per se, right? So that's why it is very important that the organization should stay agile, and they should be responsive to market shifts and emerging trends. Finally, ultimate objective is to enhance overall organizational performance. That is very right. Your objective in strategic management, or rather the objective of a strategic management, is what is to grow your organizational performance. This includes what? It includes achieving financial growth, that is the first part, increasing market share, that is second part, improve overall efficiency, third part, and delivering value to the stakeholders, that is the fourth thing, right? So this summarizes the entire objective of the strategic management. So ultimate objective is to enhance what? Organizational performance. This includes four things. One is financial growth, increasing market share, improve overall efficiency, and delivering value to the stakeholders, right? So quickly have a look at the objectives of the strategic management. First of all, you identify opportunities and you adapt resources to exploit the opportunities created. Once you identify it, then you create the opportunities. How? By utilizing the resources to the optimum, fine, and as per the competencies of the organization, or rather the capability of the organization, and you basically capitalize on them, right? You basically develop on that. Then you should help an organization to experience a competitive advantage. So strategic management main objective is to experience or increase a competitive advantage. You should be monitor and responsive to the demand of key stakeholders, identify the critical success factors, and meet the needs and wants of the customers. You develop a creative and innovative attitude and to think strategically. Helps organization to adapt to a dynamic business environment. How? By scanning external forces, anticipating changes. So these are three things. You scan the external forces, you anticipate the changes, and thirdly, you formulate proactive strategies, and enables organization to stay agile. That means they should be flexible enough, and they should be responsive to market shifts and emerging trends. And ultimate objective is to enhance overall organizational performance. This includes achieving financial growth, increasing market share, improving overall efficiency, and delivering value to the stakeholders, right? With this, we finished 8.3. Now we move to one of the most important chapters, that is 8.4, and this talks about organizational genomics, fine. Okay, first of all, when we talk about genomics, before that we need to understand what exactly is genomics. Genomics is basically a study of all persons' genes, which includes interaction of those genes with each other. What do you mean by genes? Genes is nothing but it is a unit of heredity transferred from a parent to a child, right? So genes, what is your, they say no, that is already in your genes. So what do you mean by when they say it's already in your genes? That means your parent would have it and it automatically comes to their offspring. Offspring means what? Their children. So that is genes, right? That's what it talks about in terms of organization. That means whatever genes an organization has, it is automatically being transferred to all its employees. So that's how it is being referred to. Fine. So when we talk about organizational genomics or genomics, it says study of all of person's genes, which includes interaction of those genes with each other. So it can be from organization to an employee or from an employee to an employee, right? So a senior employee, whatever habits or whatever genes has been imbibed or inculcated by them, that is automatically transferred to the new employees. So that's what is organizational genomics all about. It simply means how they work together. So that is genomics or the genes, and with the person's environment. So two things you have to take into consideration. A, that how they work together, and B, how they interact together in a person's particular environment. Fine. Okay, example, modern day companies interact a lot with stakeholders. They face a big challenge in trying to organize, communicate, and respond to all these kinds of stakeholders. This is done through boundary spanning departments, right? So we can see in today's modern day companies, you have to have a lot of interaction with the stakeholders. I've already described who are the stakeholders of the company. They face a very big challenge. Why? Because they need to organize, communicate, and respond to all these kinds of stakeholders. So whatever stakeholders are asking for, basically you should be able to organize, communicate, and respond to their queries. This is done through what? This is done through boundary spanning departments. What do you mean by boundary spanning departments? When individuals from various departments agree to work together to cater to different stakeholders. Boundary spanning departments, the example can be the Department of Public Affairs, Investor Relations, Customer Relations, etc. That means they all got to interact with each other. Say these are three different departments, that is public affairs, investor relations and customer relation. They all need to interact with each other. These are called as boundary spanning departments. They work within their boundaries, fine. So that's why they are called as boundary spanning departments. What they need to do is, when individuals from various departments, they have to work together for what? To cater to the needs of the different stakeholders. So that's why we call this as boundary spanning departments, right? So what exactly is genomics? It is basically a study of a person's genes, which includes interaction of those genes with each other. That's the first thing. That is how they work together and with a person's environment. Then it says, for example, modern day companies interact with a lot of stakeholders. What are the biggest challenges they face? Trying to organize, communicate and respond to all these kinds of stakeholders. So how do they resolve this issue? They do it through a boundary spanning department. What they do in boundary spanning department is, individuals from all these departments, they agree to work together to cater to the needs of these different stakeholders. Example can be Department of Public Affairs, Investor Relations, Customer Relations, etc. Fine. So that is genomics all about. Genomics simply means interaction, but interaction that is done through the boundary spanning departments. I've already explained what exactly is boundary spanning departments, and these individuals in these departments work together to cater to the need of stakeholders. So that is the summary of all. Fine. Then it says interaction required to direct a group towards a set of common goals is called organizational communication. Fine. So first of all, we learned what exactly is genomics. Now we are trying to concentrate on what is called as an organizational communication. So what do you mean by communication? It simply means interaction. Communication simply means interaction. We all know that, right? What we do in this is that we direct a group or we guide a group towards a set of common goals. So when we tell that you need to communicate to each other to attain a common goal of a company, that is called as an organizational communication. Now in this, managerial proficiency is very important in ensuring efficient delivery and receiving of messages. So what is the key thing if organizational communication has to be a successful thing? That can be done only through something called as managerial proficiency. Proficiency means what? Expertise in something. So if a manager is expert in this, then only he would be able to ensure that the messages are delivered efficiently and they are being received by the persons to whom it is supposed to be delivered. So managerial proficiency is very important for what? In ensuring efficient delivery and receiving of messages. Managers should be able to identify various communication barriers. He should be knowing as to what are the various barriers. What can be these barriers? They can be like there may be friction in the within the employees, so they are not communicating to each other, or the modes of communication is not proper, or for some other reasons. There may be external factors also. So managers should be able to identify what are these barriers, and with his proficiency he should be able to overcome these problems. Then he should analyze why they exist, fine, and he should take preventive actions to avoid them, right? Okay, then we move on. It says positive attitude in a work group is called is related to inner and outer system. So till now we have done genomics, then we read about communication. Now we are trying to understand what exactly is a positive attitude, right? Positive attitude is what in a group is related to inner and outer system. Positive attitude is what? Attitude is basically your inclination towards delivering for the wellness of the organization. You should have that intention of doing things. So that is what is attitude all about. So in a positive attitude in a work group is related to two things. That is, one is inner and the outer system. Okay, what is outer system? Outer system is defined by organization and technologies. So when we talk about outer system, it pertains to the organization and the technologies. Whereas when we talk about the inner system, it refers to the mutual relationships created as a result of business cooperation. So something which is within the organization, that refers to the mutual relationships within an organization, that pertains to the inner system. Whereas when we talk about the outer system, it is defined by the organization and the technologies. Fine. Okay. Further moving on, we need to understand this. This is a topic in your book which says incorrect self-estimation can result by underestimating people in the following situations. So what are the situations wherein people can underestimate themselves, which can be a cause because of incorrect self-estimation, right? If you don't estimate yourself correctly, then that can result in underestimating people. So what all situations can be there wherein people can underestimate themselves because of incorrect self-estimation? Fine. First of all, if people are with a lower qualification, so if people don't have proper qualification, that can lead to a lower self-esteem. Then secondly, you would see people holding high opinion about themselves, which is not based on fact. So you have a superiority complex, although whatever you are imagining, it's basically not true. So that can also lead to a lower self-esteem. Then people who feel inferior. Then this talks about inferiority complex. So there are two things that you need to take into account. One is superiority complex. They think everything they know is right, but that is not based on the facts. Secondly, there are people who are inferior. That means they think they don't know anything. And people who do a great job, but they conceal true opinion about themselves. That means they are doing a wonderful job, but they don't blow their own trumpet, right? So that is what is these are the conditions wherein you would find that there may be an incorrect self-estimation, which would lead to people underestimating themselves. So what are the four situations? One is they may be having a lower qualification, they may be holding a high opinion about themselves which is not based on fact, that is they may be having superiority complex, people who feel inferior, or they may be having an inferiority complex. You can write these words but try to explain when you write these points. And people who are doing a great job but they conceal their true opinion about themselves. Fine. Okay, then we come to one of the most important parts of this chapter, that is strategic leadership. Okay, now effectively managing a company's strategy making process. So effectively managing a company strategy making process for what? To create a competitive advantage is called as a strategic leadership. So what do you mean by strategic leadership? It simply means effectively managing a company's strategy making process. So effectively managing a strategy making process for what? To get a or to create a competitive advantage. Strategic leaders must take concentrated efforts. That means they should have a focused efforts towards what? Towards maximizing the shareholders' value. By how would you maximize the shareholders' value? You will balance by balancing profit growth and profitability of the organization. Fine. What are the key qualities that a strategic leader is expected to have? We'll read that. Let's just understand strategic leadership once again. Basically, you effectively manage strategy making process of a company. So strategy making process is done by the leadership people. So if you effectively manage that, then you become a good strategic leader. For what? For creating a competitive advantage. That means you have a good say or a good market share, or you carry a good competitive advantage with respect to the market. Then strategic leaders must take concentrated efforts. That means they should take focus efforts for what? The idea basically to have a good strategic leadership is to maximize the shareholders' value. This you can do by balancing the profit growth and profitability of the organization. So A part, you have to increase the profit growth, and B part is you have to increase the profitability of the organization. Fine. So there are certain key qualities that a strategic leader is expected to have. Okay, let's look at these key qualities. First of all, he should be visionary. Should have a clear and compelling vision of where the organization should reach. Right. So first point is he should be visionary. That means he should be able to foresee things. Right. If he has a good, clear and a compelling vision, that means compelling means what? A gripping vision. That means he's able to understand or foresee the future in a better way as to where the organization can actually reach, or what exactly are the targets of the company, and you as a visionary try to attain that. Then secondly, it says should be capable of fluently communicating. So he should be able to communicate fluently his vision to others. So whatever he is expecting, he is able to deliver or tell the team or the people of his own cadre or the higher cadre that what exactly he is trying to achieve, to the extent that it becomes a part of organizational culture. So whatever he is trying to communicate, that becomes a part of the organizational culture. That means everyone and anyone is able to understand and is able to implement his vision, right? Then he talks about able to identify and articulate the business model. Able to identify and articulate. Articulate means he should be fluent in making people understand the business model that he wants to have in order to attain that vision. So its direct reference is to the vision that we discussed earlier. His effort should be able to align organizational strategies with the organizational vision. So organizational strategies should be able to be aligned with organizational vision. So that's what is business model all about, right? So he should be able to identify and articulate. So two things he needs to do. He needs to identify and articulate the business model. For what? In order to attain the vision, his effort should be able to align. That means he should be able to sync. Sync means they should be able to be working in balance with each other. What are these two things that needs to be synced? One is organizational strategy with the organizational vision, right? He should be able to demonstrate a sense of commitment towards the vision and the business model through his action and words. So whatever it is there, he is able to demonstrate. That means he is able to showcase a sense of commitment towards the vision and the business model through his action and words. Fine. He should be able to develop a solid network of formal and informal sources. So he should be able to create a network of formal and informal sources that is within the organization, and he should be able to create a network wherein he is able to get information which pertains to organization but which doesn't come to him formally. Fine. This will help him to remain well informed about the happenings in and around the organization. So this is the most key important thing. He should have the sources. There should be a network of both formal and informal sources that will help him to remain well informed about the happenings in and around the organization. Then he should be able to recognize and empower subordinates to make decisions. So he should be able to identify who are his subordinates, who are capable. That is, he is able to recognize them and he empowers them. That means he gives them power for them to make decisions also. This will motivate the employees and at the same time will relieve him from being overloaded with responsibilities. So that basically resolves two issues. One is basically he himself is not overburdened, and at the same time that will motivate the employees to whom he has delegated that power. Fine. Delegation of critical activities to be avoided. Even if he is delegating things, he should make sure that the activities which are very critical, that should be retained with him. But something which is of a lesser importance or something which he feels that the person on the other end is able to handle it in a better way, or rather they are capable of handling it, he should be able to basically dedicate it to the lower level employees or his subordinates, so that he himself is not being overloaded, and at the same time that acts as a motivation for them also. He should try to develop a consensus. That means he should try to develop a consensus means he should be try to come to a verdict, or he should be able to he should try to consensus means there is a group confirmation, right, for his ideas among subordinates, rather attempting to force his ideas to authority. That means the person or the group with which he is interacting, they are able to understand or they basically accept what exactly he is trying to say, and that would develop a consensus, right? And he should not try to force his idea on them. So that's what this point also talks about. It's all about consensus, right? So what are the various qualities that a strategic leader should have? First of all, he should be visionary. That means he should be able to have a clear and compelling vision of what the organization, where the organization should reach. Should be able to fluently communicate for what his vision to the others, that so that it itself becomes a part of the organizational culture. He's able to identify and articulate the business model in order to attain the vision. His effort should be able to align organizational strategies with the organizational vision. So he's able to sync two things. One is organizational strategies with the organizational vision. Should be able to demonstrate a sense of commitment towards the vision and business model through his action and words. He's able to develop a solid network of formal and informal sources. What this will do is, this will help him to understand, or it will help him to remain informed about the. So the first point that we are talking about is self-awareness, right? Now it is basically your ability to understand one's own mood, as in you as a strategic leader should be able to understand one's mood, emotions, fine, and drives. Drives means their attitude or their intention to work with full force, as well as their effect on others, as to how these three things will affect the other people in the organization. Second one is self-regulation, right? That is ability to control or redirect disruptive urge or mood. That is think before acting. So that is self-regulation. You have to have a control over yourself, right? So you should be able to control or redirect disruptive urge or mood. So there should not be a sudden spike of their mood. Should not be be very happy or very sad. So you should be able to control that. That is think before acting. Then thirdly, you talk about motivation. That is MES. When we talk about MES, the first word is M. So we refer to here, M is referred to as motivation. This motivation is passion for work beyond money or status, and inclination to pursue goals with energy and persistence. So three things are very, very important. One is passion for work beyond money or status. That is the first thing. And your inclination towards pursuing goals. That's the second thing. And third one is with energy and persistence, right? So that is motivation. Fourth one is empathy. Empathy means ability to understand the feelings and viewpoints of subordinates and to take those into account when making decisions. That means you should empathize with your subordinates. You should not be forceful, or you should not try to be dictating terms to them. You should understand their feelings, what exactly are their feelings and what are the viewpoints that they have, and you should take those into account when you make any kind of decision. And finally, you talk about S in MES, that is social skills, that is friendliness with a purpose. So you should be friendly with the people, and that is your social IQ. And if you are good with your social IQ, you automatically becomes a good strategic leader, right? So 5 things that you need to remember is: one is self-awareness, regulation, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills, right? And then, according to Goldman, what Goldman says is self-aware and self-regulating individuals are usually more confident and are able to handle challenges efficiently. So the self-awareness and self-regulating individuals that are being referred to in Goldman, in those 5 attributes, you would see they are more confident, right? So they have a lot of confidence, and in turn they are able to handle the challenges very efficiently. Similarly, self-aware and self-regulated leaders are more respected, so they get that respect. So first of all, they are very confident, able to handle challenges very efficiently. They are very well respected also. Self-awareness helps to recognize own limitations, whereas self-regulated people consider their decisions carefully. So 2 things: if you are self-aware, first of all, you would be able to recognize your own weaknesses, and if you are self-regulated, you will take decisions carefully. These both attributes helps to garner the trust and confidence of the subordinates. So if you are good with these 2 things, you would be able to get the confidence of the subordinates very easily. Strong motivation exhibited motivates subordinates to a great extent to their best. So if you have a good strong motivation, that is again a part of your qualities. If you exhibit that, that would automatically motivate your subordinates to a great extent for performing to their level best. So this is what Goldman said when he referred to those 5 attributes, right? Then the next topic that we talk about is organizational change. Now we all know that change is very inevitable, right? That means that is, it is ever changing. It helps to foster growth. Foster means what? Foster means to promote growth, to stay modern, relevant and competitive. There are many factors that makes it inevitable. It can include. So why organizational change is inevitable? That's what we are trying to understand. First of all, obviously it is inevitable because change is always inevitable. We talk about organizational change. Then why? Because it helps if you adapt to the change, that will help you to promote growth. For what? To stay modern, right? That means you are with the market, you stay relevant, that means your presence is being felt, and you are competitive. That means you are able to have that edge over your competitors. Fine. What are these factors? It can include introducing a new software or updating marketing practices. So either you develop a new software or you update your marketing practices. Updated business processes. So even updated business processes can be something which can help you to foster growth. Complete restructuring. That means you change the entire model of the business you are working in. Leadership changes can also lead to organizational change. Updated thinking. New project management tools. So if there is any new tool in the market that has come up with respect to projects, you basically adapt to it. Budget constraints, fine. And finally, shifts in the strategy. So these are the things that you need to take into consideration when you talk about organizational change. So these factors are inevitable, but they are something to be adopted for the betterment of the organization. So first is introducing new software or updating marketing practices, then updated business processes, complete restructuring, leadership changes, updated thinking, new project management tools, budget constraints and shifts in strategy. Fine. Okay, organizational change management refers to a methodology that helps business adapt to adjustments of all kinds. So now we are referring to something called as OCM, that is organizational change management. Till now we learned what exactly is organizational change. There's something called as organizational change management. What is this OCM? This basically refers to methodology that helps business adapt to adjustments of all kinds. So if there is any kind of changes that is happening in the business environment, you are able to adapt to it. Now, how will this help? This will help employees, stakeholders and project team prepare and set expectations for upcoming change. Fine. And it helps businesses roll out and adapt to the change. So 2 things. First of all, it will adapt employees, stakeholders and project teams for preparing and setting expectations for the upcoming change. So whatever changes are coming, they would get adapted to it easily. And secondly, it will help business roll out and adapt to the change. Now there are various OCM methods, but the most popular approach is that of Association of Professional Change Management that is called as ACMP, standard for change management. So the most popular of all the OCM methods is ACMP. ACMP stands for Association of Professional Change Management. What are the various steps of ACMP? ACMP steps is, first of all, you evaluate change impact and readiness. You need to know what is the impact of the change and how ready you are, how much ready you are to adapt to those changes. Then you formulate strategies. That's the second step. Third is you development a change management plan. Then you execute that change management plan. So this point is very, very important. Then you close the change management effort. So whatever plan you adopted, there is an effort that you have taken, you close it. And finally, during the process, observe employee involvement. So you need to see that within all these frameworks, whether the employees have been involved properly or not. So first of all, you evaluate the change impact and readiness. Then you formulate a strategy for that. Then you develop a change management plan. Then you execute this change management plan. Then you close the change management effort, and finally during this entire process you see whether the employees have been properly involved or not, right? Okay, with this we finish 8.3 and 8.4, and I hope you have understood this very well. Please go through this properly, and if you have not seen my older videos, please refer to them also. I have tried to cover the entire 8.12 and 8.1 and 8.2 in detail, right? Thank you for joining and happy learning.